Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Brandon Vaughn. You're listening to episode 149 of First Things. Today, we're embarking on a special journey, one that's close to my heart and I believe vital to our well-being and effectiveness, the journey of kindness to ourselves and to others. If it sounds of interest to you, grab a cup of coffee. Let's chat for a bit.
I seem to be lost.
And so you're working around the clock so you don't take time for yourself to feel like an actual human being.
I used to feel like no matter how hard I worked, I was just spinning my wheels.
Try to be perfect. We try to have everything in place at one point in time, and you can't.
Welcome to First Things, the podcast dedicated to practical productivity based on modern research. My name is Dr. Brandon Vaughn, and it's my goal to help you apply productive solutions to your life to help you live with less stress, greater passion, and amazing results. So good to have you with me today. You should be getting this episode before Christmas. I snuck in an episode before the new year began. You might recall I was kind of taking a break, thinking about what I wanted to do in this year, and continuing the podcast is something I'm going to do, but there are some other things that are on my mind and heart, and I will talk to you about that probably in 2 weeks because I will take the last week of December off, but we will be back. But today I wanted to talk about being kind to yourself and to others, and we've chatted about this at various times, but I wanted to talk about it again, especially as we get near the end of the year, and some of you might be applying the stuff that we've dealt with in the past with your free to focus or best year ever or your life plan, and you might look back on this past year in regret. You might want to beat up on yourself. Now, we've talked in the past that seeing your life and where you've missed opportunities is not necessarily a bad thing, but you've got to let it spur you on to action, not to get drowned in condemnation and things like that. And also, I wanted to encourage you to be kind to other people as well. I mean, we're coming into Christmas. Yes, it's the time when people hopefully are a little bit more kind to other people anyway. But there's lots of other people out there that struggle. They have gone through lots of hardships, and sometimes we don't even know what those hardships are. And we can really get bent out of shape in this world today. I think for some reason, I don't know why, but when COVID left us isolated in our homes for years, I think people have kind of forgotten how to act around other people. And I find myself in the same manner where I get more upset with people in traffic, for instance. And it doesn't excuse dumb behavior. Yeah, some people drive dumb and they do dumb stuff. But at the same time, I don't really know what's going on in their lives, and they could have had a bad day. Now, yes, we don't want people like hurting people and killing each other just because they had a bad day. That's not acceptable. But when we can, to actually have grace and courtesy and kindness to other people, I think is really, really important. In our fast-paced world where productivity and efficiency often takes the center stage, we sometimes forget the fundamental element that fuels our ability to be truly effective, and that is kindness. And again, not just kindness toward others, we definitely need that, but also starting with kindness to ourselves. Now, this is basically a spin-off of some things that we did talk from Michael Hyatt about in his Free to Focus book, that we're going to talk about cultivating a compassionate attitude, basically, toward our own selves. How does this inner kindness impact our productivity, our relationships, our overall quality of life, and how does it naturally extend outward, creating ripples of positivity and kindness in our own world? So if you've been with me through this journey of exploring productivity and personal growth, you know that I'm all about setting priorities that resonate with our deepest values. Today's episode is no exception to that. We're going to explore how prioritizing kindness can transform not just how we work, but how we live, how we interact, how we thrive. So whenever or whether you're on your way to work, whether you're taking a break from your daily tasks, whether you're winding down for the day, whether you're off for the Christmas break, I invite you to join me in this conversation. I'm drinking some coffee right now, along with you. Let's challenge ourselves to think differently about productivity, to see it through the lens of kindness, compassion, and self-care. Because, my friends, when we change the way we treat ourselves, we change everything. When you, as Wayne Dyer used to say, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So let's start by defining first what we mean by self-kindness. It's more than just a feel-good concept. Self-kindness is about treating yourself with the same compassion, understanding, and patience that you would offer to a good friend or to your little child, if you will. It's basically treating yourself as if you had the 8-year-old version of you beside yourself. Or if you still couldn't be kind to yourself then maybe it's a little child who's lost that you ran across. It's that type of compassion and care. It's recognizing that you too are human, you're fallible, and you're worthy of love. You're worthy of forgiveness. You're worthy to not give up on just because you've messed up. Here's the thing though. Many of us struggle with this. We're often our own worst critics. We push ourselves with excessive demands, with relentless perfectionism, speaking to myself, never-ending quest for efficiency. But as we've learned from the studies in Michael Hyatt's books, I seen how this drive can basically lead to overcommitment and burnout. Does that sound familiar to you? Probably does. Now think about it. When was the last time you truly allowed yourself a moment of rest without feeling guilty? When did you last congratulate yourself for your efforts, even if the outcome wasn't perfect? Even if the outcome was complete failure? Self-kindness begins with these small acknowledgments. Now, consider this. Michael Hyatt often talks about the importance of freedom in productivity, freedom from unrealistic expectations, or freedom from the tyranny of the urgent, or from the shackles of unending to-do lists. Imagine applying that freedom to the way you treat yourself. What if you allowed yourself the space to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow without harsh self-judgment? What if you allowed yourself permission to turn off the voice of the inner critic in your mind? Doesn't mean that you can't push toward excellence, but what if you allowed yourself the freedom to fail? What if you allowed yourself the freedom to not be perfect? To allow yourself the freedom to not base your identity and meaning in life based upon your performance. This is a huge, huge thing. I remember when I was in college and I had basically created my own self-inflicted prison of feeling like I had to maintain all A's in high school. Now, it started out innocently. My grandparents, love them. They're no longer with me. They would give me what they called A money. So every time I got an A in one of my classes, they would give me I can't even remember now what they would give me, $5, $10 for every A that I had. And out of that pure loving motivation to just say, hey, we're proud of you for this, I started spinning that myself into that was my merit, that was my worth, and I had to do this. Well, it ended up serving me well because I became valedictorian of my high school. I got many scholarships in college where I could get degrees without even having to use my money for it. So there's a lot of amazing things, but I couldn't even enjoy classes without constant fear of failure. And I remember taking one class, it was a radio production class, and it was my last year in a bachelor's program, and I took it for fun. I thought, hey, this is kind of cool. I'd love to just kind of pretend to be a DJ and take a class about it. I was making all A's in that class. That teacher loved me until about a month into the class where she decided she's going to ask everybody, what's your life plan? What are you doing? And when they got to me and I had to say, well, I'm only taking this class for fun. I'm not going to actually do anything with it. And that teacher took offense with me. And suddenly all my grades started getting worse to the point that I ended up getting a B in that class. And I still to this day think the teacher had it out for me because she was offended. But getting a B in that class brought my GPA down a couple of points, and it took me a long time to get over that. It was something that, again, I had to start learning, and it took me decades, and I'm still learning, to not base my identity off of the things I do. In the things that I succeed with, it's really tempting to do there, nor the things that I fail at. And there are going to be things I fail at. Those perfectionists listening to me right now, and I would probably count myself among your company, we've talked about this in the past, is a delusion, total delusion. If you think you're never going to fail in this life and you're going to do everything in your power to avoid failing, my friends, you know this. If you look deep down, quoting Star Wars, you know there's the dark side down there. You know you're going to fail at some point. And all of our attempts to avoid that at the risk of our identity just being demolished is a total waste of time. And I had to learn to basically reframe those voices in me to say I was a failure, to just say, hey, it doesn't really matter. The teacher had it out for me. I could just blame the teacher. But I had to reframe that this isn't who I am. Just because I made a B in a class doesn't mean that I'm a worthless person. Doesn't mean that I haven't done really good. It doesn't mean that people aren't going to give me jobs because you've made a B in radio production. Therefore, we can't give you this job. I had to replace that negative self-talk. And it reminded me that our self-talk and the way we treat ourselves can be a turning point in how we live and work. So I challenge you to think about one way you can practice self-kindness this week. Maybe it's taking a short walk in the middle of a busy day, or it's choosing to say no to an additional commitment that doesn't really matter to you. Or maybe it's simply acknowledging your hard work, especially your hard work for something that you failed at. Self-kindness isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for sustainable productivity. It's a necessity for fulfilling life. So let's shift our focus to the practical. So how do we actually practice self-kindness in our daily lives? Well, practicing self-kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent acts of compassion toward yourself. So let's explore some strategies that we could probably pick up from Michael Hyatt on this. So first of all, consider your daily commitments. Now, Michael Hyatt emphasizes that the power of a strategic no, that is declining opportunities that don't align with your priorities, doing this could be a profound act of self-kindness. By saying no to overcommitment, you're saying yes to your own well-being and to the things that truly matter to you. Another key practice would be setting realistic goals. So it's easy to fall into this trap of setting overly ambitious goals and then berating ourselves for not meeting them. Now, we did talk about the fact that you should set risky goals. So there's a balance here of what I'm saying here. So I'm saying don't just make an easy goal that's way too easy that doesn't stretch you, but also don't make a goal that's in the delusional zone either. That is something that isn't just a stretch, but it's a entry into imagination. So you got to balance these things. You need to set goals that you can achieve with a lot of energy and work. They're going to stretch you, things that you can celebrate. So if they're lofty goals, then maybe break it up into smaller goals. That would be easier to achieve, things that you can celebrate your progress, because this is not only going to boost your confidence, but it's going to reinforce a kinder approach to your own personal productivity. Let's talk about breaks. Man, I should basically listen to this episode. I actually do listen to my own episodes just to hear if I've done anything goofy in this. But breaks. In the relentless pursuit of our productivity, breaks might seem like a luxury. But as we've been studying now for quite a while, all year in fact, they are not a luxury. They are actually a necessity. Taking short, regular breaks can rejuvenate your mind and body, whether that is a 5-minute meditation, it's a quick walk, it's stepping away from your desk. These moments of pause are actually kindness to yourself. Now, let's talk about self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves has immense power. I want you to start noticing your inner dialogue. When you make a mistake or you face a setback, instead of harsh criticism, try offering words of understanding and encouragement, just as you would to a friend. And this is sometimes what you have to do, by the way, is use your imagination. So some of you, if you think of your best friend and think of how you would respond to something they told you that was bad news, what would you say to them? That imagination of responding to yourself as if it was your best friend could be the big secret for some of you. For others, if you imagine yourself as an 8-year-old child that you ran into in a Twilight Zone episode, how would you treat yourself, knowing all that you've done, knowing that you just failed at something? That perspective could be a life-changing thing for some of you listening to me if you treated yourself like an 8-year-old version of yourself. And if that doesn't help, then maybe if you have no element of friend that you can relate to, or you would be harsh to yourself, most of us, hopefully, if we have a pulse and we have any compassion in ourselves at all, if we saw a lost, crying child that we ran across and there's no one else there to help, I hope, everyone who's listening to me would stop and help that kid. And if that kid got lost through something stupid they had done, I don't think we would sit and lecture that child about how stupid they are. I think what we would do is try to help them. We would encourage them and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Just settle down. It's all right. Or if they fell and they hurt themselves, we would have compassion. Like, man, how stupid can you be? Can't you see the pavement comes up there? And you would bandage them. You would say, hey, it's okay. Don't cry. It's fine. Maybe that helps some of you to see yourself as that little kid If it's not you, maybe treat it as if it was a random kid. Those are some tricks and hacks that maybe you could apply when you talk to yourself to imagine that's who you're talking to at that moment. Step outside of yourself and pretend you are a different person. You're not yourself, and you are now responding to this person. So I step out of myself and I'm no longer Brandon. I'm Tom, and Tom's going to talk to Brandon and pretend. Imagine this. This can often help break some of these cycles in your life. One thing that you can do is something called a kindness reflection, and that is at the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on 3 kind things you did for yourself. Maybe you allowed yourself an extra moment of rest, or you tackled a difficult task with patience, or you simply acknowledge your own effort to do something. This practice can shift your perspective, and it can also gradually transform your own relationship with yourself. You should notice any changes in how you feel and how you perform. It may sound selfish. Self-kindness can feel selfish, self-centered. But practicing self-kindness isn't being selfish. It's really a fundamental aspect of living a productive and fulfilling life. So now let's shift gears and explore how this inward compassion can naturally flow outward, extending kindness to those around us. When we're kind to ourselves, we create a surplus of positive energy and patience that we can share with other people. Again, this isn't just selfish talking. It's like the oxygen mask principle that we've talked about numerous times in airplanes. You need to secure your own mask before helping others. So to say that you've got to prioritize your sleep rather than spending that time with friends is not being selfish. If you don't get your sleep, if you don't eat right, if you don't exercise, you're not going to live as long, and therefore you're not going to be around to help people. So I'm not saying that you become totally self-centered and basically turn off the world, but no, you got to take care of yourself first and then learn to love and treat people out from that. You've got to recharge your batteries in order for you to stick those batteries into some device that can help another person. You've got to recharge yourself. Cultivating self-kindness is going to equip us to be genuinely kind to those around us. I mean, think about this. When was the last time you felt overextended or harsh with yourself? How did that affect your interactions with other people? If you're like me, if I'm upset or I'm stressed, I take it out on other people. So you've got to deal with yourself so that you can be kind to other people. Now, contrast that with the time when you felt at peace, you felt self-compassionate, you were very happy, things were flowing in your life. How did you treat other people then? The difference is palpable, isn't it? I mean, our internal state sets the tone for all of our external relationships. So how can we extend this kindness to other people? Well, let's start with the simple yet powerful act of listening to people. In our fast-paced world, truly listening to someone can be a rare gift. But by offering your full attention, you're going to validate their feelings and experience. You're going to act out of profound kindness. And I'm talking about actually listening, not debating, not trying to solve their problems necessarily, especially those, and this is probably stereotypical, but those of us who are males have a tendency, I don't know what gene and hormone that is, that we just solve people's problems. Sometimes people don't need you to solve their problems. They just need you to listen to them. Listening is a way to show kindness. Another way of showing kindness is through acts of service. Now, these don't have to be grand gestures. Just something as simple as a thoughtful message, helping them with a task or offering maybe a word of encouragement can make a significant difference in someone's day. Just saying, okay, today I'm going to say something nice to one person about how they look or how much I appreciate them or thank you so much. This really made my day, and in doing so, it makes their day. Today, every day, I'm going to have one interaction where I show them that they are valued, that they matter. And also, let's not forget the power of empathy, because empathy allows us to connect with others on a deep emotional level. By striving to understand and share the feelings of another, we foster a kinder, more compassionate world. So, I challenge you to perform one small act of kindness for someone else. Notice the impact it has, not just on them, but on you as well. Kindness is a cycle. The more we practice it, the more it grows, the more it spreads. So as we draw this episode to a close, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey today through this landscape of kindness. Today, we've explored this profound impact that kindness to ourselves and to others can have on our lives, to our productivity. We began by understanding the importance of self-kindness, recognizing that how we treat ourselves sets the foundation for every aspect of our lives. We then moved into practical ways to incorporate self-compassion into our daily routines. And we drew a lot from, again, Michael Hyatt's insights on focus and freedom. And we concluded by looking at how this inner kindness doesn't just stay with us. It naturally extends outward. It naturally touches the lives of those around us in meaningful ways. And remember that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has a ripple effect that's going to extend far beyond that immediate moment. It's crazy to think of this thing called a butterfly effect, which often I've heard and seen movies on is from a more of a negative aspect, but think of it from a positive aspect. By you simply giving a kind word to someone, of encouraging them, of complimenting them, of basically showing them that they were valued and appreciated, that could radically change their day, which could change everything. We think of, I'm getting all science fiction-y here, but think of it like in a science fiction thing of here is a person who has a bad day, and because of that bad day, they're not really paying attention to their driving that day, and they accidentally hit another car who has some kids aboard, and those kids perish in that. And one of those kids may have been someone who grew up to create a cure for cancer, but they are lost to this world. And in this science fiction world, imagine that person who had a bad day before they left ran into a customer who basically said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you, I see you in here a lot, and I appreciate you, and really thank you for all the stuff that you do to help other people. I know that sometimes people could be rude to you, and I just wanted to be someone to just say how much I appreciate you." And that little act of kindness radically shifts that person's perspective for the day, and they leave happy. In fact, maybe they stop off at Starbucks to have a cup of coffee because they feel so good, and they're never involved in that accident. Now, I know this is all far-fetched. It's a movie in my head, but I'm just saying that we never know the ripple effect that our kindness has on ourselves and other people. So I want to encourage you to take a moment after this podcast to reflect on what kindness means to you. How can you be more compassionate toward yourself this week? What's one small act of kindness you can extend to someone else? These aren't just questions, they're invitations. I'm inviting you to a more fulfilling and productive life. I'm deeply grateful for your time that you shared with me today. If you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who might also benefit from a little more kindness in their life. Your support and engagement are what makes this community so special. So I'm, again, Dr. Brandon Vaughn. You've been listening to episode 149 of First Things Productivity. May this week be one where you find joy and kindness, both given and received. Reach out to me on Facebook, First Things Productivity. Look me up, engage with me there. Email me at firstthingsproductivity.com. I don't think my website is working right now. I'm trying to get it back up and working, but you can still reach me there. So until next time, enjoy the holiday season, stay focused, stay productive, stay kind. Embrace today with passion and intention, and don't die with your music still inside you. See you next time.